That's not what the book is about. But when you read it, you will get the clear details of the people they are talking about. It's about the middle ground.
Yes, and that book. Hold on. And that book is a historian's account of the relations in the Great Lakes from 1600 to 1815. Yes. So the idea that book would even cover the original inhabitants of North America is just it's hilarious.
It definitely covered when you motherfuckers got here. When they say 16 this or 15 that, it's covered when you motherfuckers got here. So like you can act like it don't cover ancient history from 10,000 years ago. No, it don't. But it definitely covered the time period from when you motherfuckers got here. So like you can deny it, but at least read the book if you want to rebut the book. Don't read the cliff notes and rebut the book to a person that read the book. You want to, oh Kim, you didn't read the book. What? Read the book and challenge me on anything, but you haven't read the book. So stop it about that book, sir.
To make a argument based on a single source is spurious.
I gave other sources.
As a academic and a college professor.
Y'all the problem though. The right wing say the college professors are the fucking problem. So now you want to come with your appeal to authority. I'm a college professor bullshit when the right wingers don't accept that bullshit you're talking about.
But
you get what I'm saying. But if you are academic, you get what I'm saying. Like you get what I'm saying though, right?
No, I don't. No, I don't. Because you're about, hey, are you going to have a discussion or are you going to talk over me?
I'm talking about conservatives. How do conservatives feel about a left-wing fucking professor? Like, let me know that. How in America, in 2025, how are y'all talked about in this space? Like, let's be honest.
I'm not a professor.
You just stood up for it.
I said I was. I'm just trying to have a conversation, and you have not.
You've been disingenuous.
I'm asking you to cite your sources.
You're not asking me shit. And I gave you 4 books. I gave you 4 books.
I think somebody asked you to put it in the chat.
I gave you 4 books. I don't have.
I put a link above. Hold on. I came. Listen, I put the link up above to Middle Ground, Indians, Empires, and Republics in the Great Lakes region. A very specific study of the Great Lakes region, by the way. And so, hold on. So this is the book in which Hakima told me makes the case that the original inhabitants of North America, contrary to what archaeologists and anthropologists believe, where they came across the strait and they were descendants of the Mongolian Empire, Hakima makes the argument that these folks came from Africa.
Also genetic haplogroups too.
And Rod, you can do whatever you want to do with that book. And but like you should at least read it. Like at least read it if you want to challenge it. Like at least read it. Like the book's purpose have its purpose. But in there are fine details that describe the people they're talking about. And when you read the book, and when they give the description, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. It's that book and multiple other books. But at least read it. Like I mean, like if you really want to push back, at least read the book. Like basically, like you trying to be a gatekeeper to American history for the bullshit they told you.
Hakima, can you tell us where the original inhabitants of North America came?
They came from America. What the fuck are you talking about?
What do you mean they came from America?
So you think basically from what you're saying, you think all life started in Africa, right? And I'm okay with that thought if you want to say that. At what point do people leave? In that case, even white people are African. Y'all are black also. But so either way, you lose the argument anyway. Like you just a watered down nigga. That's where you want to go with that argument.
You're using Ivan Van Sertema's claim on the Olmecs way back in the day, that was 11th to 12th century, and you're using that logic, which I don't know if it's accurate or if it's spurious and has been disproven, but it sounds like that's where you're coming from. The Olmecs of African origin with the heads that they found in Mexico are reason and proof as to why Africans were the original individuals in North America. Well, all right.
Well, he was moved down. He knows that we don't use that word in this room.
As relates to the title, sir, the reason why high IQ immigrants are, at least in Silicon Valley, I can't speak for Texas or Oklahoma, is because there were programs years ago. I've been living there for a long time, even before the EB-5 visa, which some call a Einstein visa. Finding American citizens who are studying STEM in large numbers, particularly computer science, computer engineering, scientists, which is the whole Silicon, which is the backbone of Silicon Valley, since I've been there, has run in short supply. In the 80s, 90s, 1980s, 1990s in Silicon Valley, there might be more younger people studying those hard sciences now. But when I got there, that was not the case as an American. And most of my colleagues and contemporaries, and especially in grad school and then in the workspace, were individuals from other locations around the world. And I'm talking Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, San Jose, Cupertino, Mountain View, Palo Alto, Redwood City, Menlo Park. That's what I mean when I say Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I think Silicon Valley is overrated. I lived in the Bay Area for 40 plus years, and there's no doubt that there's a concentration of wealth and there's a concentration of tech-savvy people, but in 2025, it's no longer even the center of the tech universe. Seattle, with Microsoft and Amazon and all the ancillary companies that work out of these hyperscalers, I think I can put a pretty definitive argument together that there's just per capita there's probably more tech folks in Seattle than there are in Silicon Valley.
I can't refute you because I've never been to Seattle. I've been invited, but just between San Francisco and both sides of the bay, the East Bay and the South Bay, all the way down to San Jose and going up to Los Gatos, there's so many companies, and the thing, if you listen to Silicon Valley for a long time, you understand they have very unique things. It has a lot of ridiculously creative people. 2, it has people that are entrepreneurial in their focus. 3, it has the universities, and 4, the most important part that no other place in America has is the money. The level of VC and venture capital funding and startup capital is unparalleled, even outside of Boston and New York. People are more willing to take chances on unknowns, and people have never done it. Well, I don't know if that's the case in Seattle.
Well, it's definitely true 25 years ago, and even up to about 5 years ago, I would say pretty definitively you're correct. But now, these tech companies, I mean, go to South of Market in the city, where it used to be, just 5 years ago, was filled with tech startups. It's a ghost town.
Yeah, I was there. My office is on 2nd. I know.
Yeah, so
we're doing COVID. We left.
So it's a ghost town. Right, so here's the point, right? Over the last 5 years, Silicon Valley's been decentralized. And in fact, Seattle's tech hub is going to change quite drastically as well. When Amazon decided several years ago that they were going to set up new headquarters elsewhere, they picked 2 locations, both on the East Coast, by the way. But tech companies are going to be leaving, especially these AI companies. There's a bunch of them in Seattle. There's a few of them in Silicon Valley that are definitely worth mentioning. These companies, they're there to get the investment dollars, but as soon as they get once they're to B round, dude, they're hightailing it. They're all going to go to Austin. And the reason they will is because there's no way that these AI companies, with the type of money that they're going to make, is going to want to be beholden to the regulations and the taxation of California. They just won't.
Makes sense. I know that still when companies are starting, especially AI. Let's be clear. Software, computer science, computer engineering that are now using agentic AI. A lot of them start in San Francisco, the Bay Area. That's why it's still the leading AI. You know, OpenAI, Anthropic, Databricks, Scale AI, and on and on and on. Now they may move other places, but they're not solely based in SF or the Bay Area. Like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Google, they're not solely based in the Bay Area, but a lot of things that are started. Now, if these could be different since COVID, I don't know.
Listen, as long as the investment capital it lives in the area, as long as the Andreessens and the Ben Horowitz of the world and all of the different incubators, as long as those folks are in the Bay, people are going to make their tour through there. There's an endless number of startups that I can talk to you about where people worked on the East Coast or the Midwest, and then they have an idea for a startup, and then they would just go get a Regis or a WeWork out of somewhere like in the city or maybe in Mountain View, somewhere over by Castro and California Street over in Mountain View. They'll do that to be able to say, hey, look, we're here, let's get the money. But then when they start hiring people, the people that they're hiring are going to be in places like Hyperbad. They're going to be in Tel Aviv. They're going to be spread across the entire United States. What nobody's doing in 2025 is going to Silicon Valley, asking for the money, and then saying, I'm going to build this huge headquarters. In fact, the only people that are doing stuff like that is something that's already been well established, like a Salesforce. When you see them build the Salesforce tower, and by the way, they're building these towers outside of San Francisco as well, it's because they're already well established. That tech startup thing that used to need to live in Silicon Valley, they're only there grabbing the money and they're getting out.
Okay, I know Salesforce. I was listening to an interview with Mark Benioff from Salesforce recently, and he said that 30 to 50% of their 30 to 50% of their costs for engineering, we're talking computer engineering or computer science, is now being done by agentic AI and whatnot. So, which means, I think they just laid 1,000 people off recently. And I heard my friend called me from the East Coast and said Microsoft laid off a bunch of people. So yeah, you're right. I don't know. I would still tell a young person. I would tell my 25-year-old self, or 20 right out of undergrad years ago, or grad school, 25-year-old self, if you have something that's hot and it's unique and it's novel and you think you can have the right product market fit, put yourself in a co-working space in SF and pitch. If you want to live in the city, if you want to live down in the suburbs, Silicon Valley, but really live in the city and just go down to Sand Hill Road, right there in Mountain View, Palo Alto border, off of El Camino Real. Put yourself there, get the money. And when it's time to scale and grow, like you said, Brazil.
I think the advice that you're giving was good advice up until about 5 years ago. I can tell you that right there on El Camino, right next to the tattoo shop at a dumpy little Italian restaurant called Frankie, Johnny, and Luigi's, like some of the biggest transactions that the world's ever seen have happened right there in that little dumpy Italian restaurant on El Camino Real. So it's true that was the epicenter, I think that the regulation and the taxation of California has changed that, though. People do not want to be there. They don't want to stay there. If they can avoid going there, they absolutely will avoid going there. And it's going to continue to get worse. I think Silicon Valley is going to have a different problem in a few years because you're going to see, people leaving in such droves unless the state decides to bend a knee to them. And in order to do that, you'd have to change the entire body politic of California.
Bend the knee to whom?
When it comes to high tech, right? First of all, not all tech sectors have centralized in Silicon Valley ever. Like, for example, cybersecurity, Silicon Valley is way behind Israel when it comes to cybersecurity, right? They're like all of the great cybersecurity companies come out of Israel, and then what will happen is large companies that are selling hardware that are established companies, they will go buy the up and coming bleeding edge tech from these Israeli startups, and they will embed it into their hardware, and in some cases even that's becoming irrelevant because people are now building cloud native apps, and so they don't even need the hardware. So when it comes to cybersecurity, for example, the ground zero is absolutely in Israel, and then even like it depends on what you mean by tech. Like if what we're talking about is the AI stuff. I would guess that in the next 10 to 15 years, you're going to see the biggest changes coming out. You'll still see some of the companies like Google and Facebook being a huge part of that. But the startups that you're going to see, I think you're going to see those startups in AI coming out of Seattle.
I just want to say something because right now I know the whole topic is talk about AI and computer science. So right now AI is the key for changing this entire industry. But you guys know AI can run something faster than a lot of systems. So how can we collaborate with how can these workers collaborate with AI and build a very, very secure cybersecurity system?
So
Yeah.
what Mo just said, California is still
the top security companies in the world: Palo Alto Networks, CrowdStrike, Fortinet, Scalar, Oprah.
Well, Fortinet's Sunnyvale office is actually not their headquarters. It's in Burnaby, Vancouver.
Okay.
What part of the Bay Area did you live in, Carlos?
Sunnyvale, Mountain View, and then San Francisco.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So here's why Seattle is going to be the hub when it comes to AI. It's because the hyperscalers are here. You have Amazon, you have AWS, and you have Azure. The reason the biggest competitors to that are the Bay Area. So the Bay Area will play second fiddle, and that's Oracle Cloud and Google Cloud. So as long as you have these hyperscalers here, you're going to need them if you're building an AI company, and then you're going to have to be in a place where you can get massive amounts of bandwidth, and the Westin in Seattle provides for that. There's also some big data centers in the Bay Area for sure, but I would guess because of the amount of bandwidth that you're going to need, you're going to see the Westin in Seattle still be a major hub, but you'll also see DC, because DC was built from pushing massive amounts of bandwidth. So you will see a lot of these AI companies start in Seattle, build those relationships with Microsoft and with Amazon, and then as soon as they can breathe on their own, a lot of them are going to move to DC to headquarter things, just because of the bandwidth that's accessible in DC.
I'm not anti those places. I'm just saying, as of March 2025, 32 out of 50 of the top AI companies in the world are located in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I don't think that changes anything that I just said.
to Seattle, by the way? I haven't. I'm just asking.
I lived in Silicon Valley for over 40 years, and then I've spent the last 8 years in the Pacific Northwest.
I'm talking about the rent and the housing prices. Do you like the weather there in comparison to Silicon Valley?
Well, the weather informs the scenery. So I would much rather drive down the highway in the Pacific Northwest and see green trees than see the brown hills going over 280.
Hey, Roger, back channel. Sorry, go ahead.
Understood. I got a spot out in what's the ocean spot? Going over the hill over the 17 to the ocean for a while. Santa Cruz. So I understand beauty and green trees and ocean. Completely understand. But then I also love cities. So yeah, that's why I left Silicon Valley up into SF.
Yeah, I'm the exact opposite. I like the suburbs. When I lived in the Bay, I grew up in, first I was in Oakland, then I was in Hayward, and then as soon as I had a big boy job, I got into Pleasanton, tried to get as far out of the city as I could, but still go to the city when I needed to.
Yeah, I was the exact opposite. I moved there when I was younger from a large city, Los Angeles, to San Francisco, smaller city, well, Silicon Valley, then to SF, and I like cities. And then New York City, with it moving into Manhattan, I just like the efficiency of it all.
Do you know what the biggest difference between San Francisco and Seattle is?
Probably the use of concrete.
It's actually, the biggest difference between San Francisco and Seattle is the smell. Because Seattle gets rain, you don't have to smell the urine from the homeless people that hang out in the boardwalk.
Where in San Francisco are you talking about? Where the urine? Where are you talking about?
It's all over now. I mean, just the last time I was there, I even posted a photograph. There was human shit right outside the hotel that was right along where the Giants play. Are you
talking about on the second? Yeah, I'm talking about. I lived on the other side of town. It's beautiful in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, look, Twin Peaks is always going to be nice.
And the marina.
Correct. The marina, Pack Heights. There's definitely nice neighborhoods. In fact, they turned some of the shittiest neighborhoods of San Francisco into some pretty fun stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with Dog Patch, but or Potrero Hill. Those areas were. They were pretty rough. But the mission will always be the mission. What's crazy is that Soma and the financial district now smell like the Mid.
Really interesting. Yeah, my house was in Twin Peaks, and then first it was the Richmond district, Twin Peaks, and then the marina. Do you know where Cow Hollow is?
Yep.
So
yep.
There's nothing going on over there. There's no crappy smelling going on over there.
No, Cow Hollow, I can't think of the name of it now, but they had this really good little breakfast spot over there where you get your billionaire bacon. I forget the goddamn name of it, but that was even worth a drive, like from the East Bay to go check out. But yeah, Cow Hollow was cool. But go down Montgomery. Montgomery used to have nothing but startups, and I mean, shit. Even go to the Trans-American Building. That's this like this site that people come to the city to go see. Well, that whole area, it's nothing but drugs, crime, and literal human shit.
Yo, Roger, what's the area that has like the rolling, like the straight up and down rolling hills? You know what area?
Pacific Heights.
Maybe. It's like the one you see in movies all the time. So my dad and I were walking
probably
down
going
those
down
hills.
Lombard. Probably going down Lombard.
It was like a main drag, yeah. And my dad and I were walking, and there was this older African American guy, and he was like spraying this stuff on the ground. And I was like, so what are you doing? And he's like, cleaning up feces. And like for a second, my brain didn't recognize the word feces. And I was like, oh shit. And he was using one of those like weed sprayers. And he's like a city worker guy. But he was using one of the weed sprayers and he was spraying like this detergent stuff on it. And then he was like scrubbing it with a scrub brush and then pressure washing it out in the street on the sidewalk.
Yeah, that was a place where you had in a small concentrated area a lot of haves and a lot of have-nots in a very near downtown San Francisco area. When you go out to other parts of the city, like the Marina District or the Richmond District, which is way out by the park, or the Sunset District, or Noe Valley, it's going to be a different, it typically tends to be a different environment.
The Japanese garden's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Actually, if you guys want to see a hidden gem, go into Hayward, California, where they have a Japanese garden. I've lived in Hayward for many, many years, and it was such a well-kept secret that fucking I had no idea that it even existed. It's one of the most beautiful things that you'll see in the East Bay, and they kept it a secret. They did a really good job of not letting little fucking kids like me, when I was running around being a little asshole, we had no idea that it was right there in our back.
Roger, I got a question. I'm not a big drinker, but I know you have had experience with alcohol, so you may know the answer to this. We ate at Skoma's, and I had tried my first martini, and she brought it out, set it down, and I took a sip, and it tastes like fucking ocean water, and I spit it back into the thing.
Was it a dirty martini?
I don't know, dude. It tastes like I was. It tastes like I was taking a cup out of the ocean and then just drinking it. It had that fucking salt taste.
Yeah, if it's salty, it was a dirty martini.
God,
that was olive juice.
Yeah, it literally, I've tasted that one other time in a Filipino dish, and it tastes like I was licking a fucking fish out of the ocean.
What exactly is in a dirty martini? I don't drink. What's in?
It depends if you're getting a vodka martini or if you're getting a gin martini, but you're gonna mix it with vermouth and then you could either put an olive or olive juice in it if you want to garnish it. But
sorry. The second one they brought me was some type of citrus one, and it had like an orange peel in it, and that was actually really good.
That could be a lot of different drinks.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Is vermouth alcohol or just a sweetener?
It is a liqueur. It's low alcohol content, probably about 40 proof.
So I've always just been a vodka guy. I can't do any like whiskeys or scotch or brandy or anything. As soon as it hits my mouth, even if it's mixed, it just gags me, and I spit it out. But the only thing I can tolerate is I can do a little bit of rum and like mojitos, but usually vodka. Just gotta mix it with some kind of like sweets drink, like Gatorade or something.
Well, I'm not going to tell you the secret to finding alcohols that you like the taste of, because if you're at the age that you are today, drinking problem, you're probably better off. But there are some go-tos that you can go to that for people that don't like alcohol. I had an ex-girlfriend that every drink that she had was absolutely fucking delicious, but it would also give you a fucking hangover.
Oh, like real sweet stuff?
Yeah, I could show you drinks that you would drink and not even know that there's alcohol in it, but they would give you worse hangovers than just drinking straight whiskey.
That's the way those the fucking apple cider beers, because of the sugar content and shit, they would always give me like a serious fucking like migraine in the back of my head. But yeah, I can't do anything strong. It's fucking gaggery.
So question, if you're drinking alcohol, and then when you finish, you drink lots of water to like hydrate you, does that help with the sugar content?
So the sugar's giving you a different problem. It's that spike of sugar that's going to cause some issues for you. But the real problem with a hangover is the loss of electrolytes. If you really want the best way to avoid getting hangovers, take a B6 and a B12 vitamin before you go out drinking, and then in between your drinks, drink something like Pedialyte or Gatorade that gives you your electrolytes. And that's like, you can go pretty fucking hard and not have a fucking hangover if you're doing it.
See, I've tried to get blackout drunk. I've never blacked out, and I've never been able to forget anything from when I was drunk. Like, I could have, like, detailed conversations, and people would be like, dude, you were, like, laying in a pool of your own vomit. And they'd be like, you don't even, we had this conversation last night, and I would just, like, recite the whole conversation. But my dad's like that, and my brother, so I don't know if it's, like, something genetic.
What I would highly recommend against is this. Some people have this old school remedy of like, he's had a lot to drink. Give him some coffee. That'll wake him up. All that does is makes a drunk. Well, and it makes a drunk more alert. Like, I mean, what you want to do, if they're super fucking hammered, make sure they do hydrate to some extent. The best thing you can do for a friend that's super fucking drunk is give them a goddamn multivitamin and a bunch of fucking water to pound, and then give them a pillow and let them call it a fucking night.
See, I always had friends, they would get shit-faced as much as I would, because I was only a party drinker. Like, even we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, people would be like, you want to drink a beer with us? I'd be like, oh, I'll get a Coke, or water, whatever. And, but if we were going out to the clubs and going dancing, that was my way to loosen up. But my friends, man, they would get trashed, and they didn't remember anything after, like, a certain amount of alcohol. They were just blackout drunk, and it was like the Hangover movie. And I always wanted to experience that just one time, so I would like push the limits. But then I'd wake up the next morning, I'm like, yeah, I remember how we were talking about this and that, like the entire conversation. And my dad's the same way. It's weird.
Yeah, I was. I would go out with my friends, and the reason why I think that alcohol worked, I guess it didn't work, but the reason why I was attracted to it is I could go out, drink all night, have a bunch of fun. I get super hammered. My friends, at a certain point, their stomach would get upset, they would vomit, and they just total alcohol poisoning. But they would get it out of their system. For whatever reason, like, it didn't hit me that way. And then when I would go to sleep, I would be pickled, and then my hangovers were fucking worse than anybody's because I never threw up when I drank. I would just continue to drink, and then just fucking like stew in it, where it's just marinating my fucking.
See, that's another thing. I don't know if it's like the way I process alcohol, but I've never had a hangover. Like, I would always just wake up the next morning and be like, I feel fine. And everybody else I knew, man, they'd just be like, fucking.
Do you typically drink a lot of water, though? Because dehydration.
I do drink a lot of water, yeah, naturally.
Yeah, if you're it's fucking enemy. It would really kill you.
Okay. Yeah, the only time I've ever had what I would consider almost like a hangover type symptom was when I would drink those apple cider fucking beers, and they would just give me like a fucking migraine in the back of my head. It just felt like it felt like I had.
That could have been the sugar, or it could have been the sulfites in it too. That causes headaches for a lot of people as well.
I was always a screwdriver chill with no ice, or I would, which actually I guess the electrolytes or the Gatorade would help. But I would go get 2 of those 32-ounce Gatorades and get like a Stolvishna or a Popov bottle, the little plastic one. And I grew up in Daytona Beach, Florida, so 6 nights a week, fucking partying our ass off during spring break. And I would pour both the Gatorades halfway out and then just fill it both back with vodka. And I would sip on the first one, and then my buddies would be like, all right, let's go. And then I would just pound the second one, and I would just I would always shake it, keep the third up so it didn't have too much.
Here's something that if somebody has to drink, it doesn't taste good, but if what you're looking to do is drink and you're trying to minimize the negative impact, I would first of all remain hydrated, but I would drink shots of Fernet. Fernet actually has some properties that are good for your your gut, surprisingly. And then obviously, if you drink too much, you're going to probably outweigh the benefits that you have for gut health. But Fernet, it tastes like, imagine Jägermeister but with no sugar in it. It's just like to me, it's the worst tasting thing in the fucking
like
world.
Cough syrup.
But the people, it's like cough syrup without any sugar. So it's like it's the worst of the worst. It's like if somebody gave you like a fancy cough syrup, with no sugar in it, right? And it's just
the people that drink it, they maintain better than anybody I've ever fucking seen. Drinking anything.
What's the cranberry vodka? Is that mattress or mattress? I always get the name wrong.
Vodka cranberry? Well, only fucking fags drink.
Dude, I love cranberry vodka. Everybody always say, "What are you on your fucking period?" And I'm like, it tastes good.
Well, that's because after The Departed came out, you literally can't order a fucking cranberry juice. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when Leonardo DiCaprio fucking, orders it,
yeah, this is before, but yeah, it's still...
yeah, it's definitely,
Do you know what they call that drink? You know what its official name?
Is it mattress or mattress something, right?
cosmopolitan. And it's supposed to be served in a highball glass, and you give it to highfalutin.
Okay. Yeah, I always did everything chilled, no ice. I just like I like to take the cup, the little plastic cup that they give you at the nightclubs, and I would just stand it up and just slam it. I don't like sipping.
Well, here's a way to make yourself tolerate sipping on something. Get yourself a huge cube, not a cube, but like one of those circular ice.
Like spherical ones, yeah.
Yeah. Get a huge one that consumes almost the whole cup, and then just pour like 3 fingers of single malt scotch in that, and that's the way to go. Some people don't like to water down their scotch, but for people that aren't like heavy drinkers, that's not only is it classy to fucking drink scotch, but if you put it over ice, it actually it doesn't taste bad. And you will want to sip it. You won't want to pound fucking.
See, my dad loves fucking whiskey, and he would always get like really, really good whiskeys, and he's like, "Come on, stop getting pussy," and I would just, the second it hits my mouth, man, I'm just like, I can't. It's not even I can't get it out my throat. I just can't get it past my tongue. It can't. Yeah, it's something about it. I don't know. Yeah, I just woke up one day and I was like, I don't party anymore. I'm like, I'm just not gonna drink, so I just stopped drinking.
Well, if you're there, I would just stay there. But if you got curious, what I would think, like if I thought that I could drink again and like go have fun with it without it becoming problematic, I would do things like destinations, like go to like Tennessee and like tour a bunch of like whiskey distilleries and shit like that. Like I would just turn it into a destination thing and then make a rule of like, don't have alcohol in the house, don't go hang out on the bars at the weekend or whatever. But like, be a destination drink.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like I grew up on Frasier. I mean, like a lot of people, and I always seen that, and I was like, man, just the way he describes the taste and all this kind of stuff, him and Niles, and I'd be like, man, I want to try that so bad. And, I just could never get to it.
For example, if you go into a bar today, you could order a Mai Tai, and it's not going to taste all that well. But if you get on a fucking cruise ship or you're on a tropical island and you get a fucking Mai Tai or a Blue Hawaiian or something like that, or even a Pina Colada, and they serve it to you in it, and they serve it to you fucking with an umbrella in it, there's something magical about certain scenery with certain drinks. I wouldn't advise drinking multiple Mai Tais because that's that whole sugar thing that'll fuck you up and give you a crazy hangover. But the first drink, like if you got off a plane and went to like the Caribbean, order yourself a fucking Mai Tai with an umbrella in it. There's nothing fancier in the world. It's fucking amazing.
See, I like mojitos. I like pina coladas, strawberry daiquiris, all those kind of sweet stuff. I love. I guess the sweetness overpowers it. Just like Coke,
I used to like drinking like a man, so I would go into places and I would order something like an old fashioned or a Manhattan. That's what like old school cat like that. Like if you would.
I drink like a woman.
If you would have walked into a bar in let's say Vegas, circa the 1960s, if you were hanging out with fucking Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, I guarantee they're going for old fashions in Manhattan.
Yeah, see, that would be cool. I've tried. I'd give the drink back to the bartender. I'd be like, hey, can you give me a mojito?
Yeah, I just want to recommend something like one shot of red wine is good for ladies have a better sleep every night. So yeah, you can try it. Yeah, it's better for me. Yeah.
You know, one of the alcohols that I really do like and I enjoy with food is soju and sake. I could drink that all day. I love that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, the rice wines are really good.
The other thing you can do is you can get like you get like Midori and it's a melon liqueur. Cut out a little hole in a watermelon. Pour the Midori in there with a bottle of rum, Midori in a watermelon. Put it back in the refrigerator and let it sit for a couple of hours, and then what you do is then you just carve up the watermelon, and you just eat the watermelon that's been infused with the alcohol. That'll get you fucked.
We used to do that up in Kentucky. We'd take the big cooler and all the different fruits and watermelon stuff, and then just pour like big giant bottles of liquor and stuff, and they'd mix it all together and let it ferment a little or like set, and that was actually pretty.
Another good one is like, you know, like people make old school punch with like 7-Up and sherbet ice cream.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, you get some sherbet ice cream. You get some 7-Up, and then you spike that with your favorite. You can put gin, you can put rum, you can put whatever. But that makes for a pretty tasty drink.
Yeah, we would usually do like 7-Up or Sprite in the cool.
When I first started drinking, we were broke. We would go and we'd get like a homeless guy to buy it for us, and you can get a bottle of Thunderbird and a 10-cent packet of lemon Kool-Aid. You pop open the bottle of Thunderbird, which is just a bottle of really, really cheap wine, and you can buy both of these for less than $2. And you open up the bottle, you put in the lemon Kool-Aid, and then you shake it up, and the lemon Kool-Aid packet gives it just enough flavor for it to not make you just like repulsed by the taste. And so that was the cheapest way to get drunk, was to drink a bottle of Thunderbird and a 10-cent fucking lemon Kool-Aid packet.
Yeah, see, when I was working, when I was like younger, I was like in my early 20s, late teens, we would go and deliver pizzas to this place next to the strip club in Daytona Beach. And then I would make probably like $100, $150 for the night. And then I'd tell the boss, I'd be like, hey, you know, it's late enough, I'm cutting out. And he'd be like, okay, cool. So then we would go and get the vodka Gatorade shit, and we would just get absolutely shit-faced, and then we'd put like enough money just for gas. Like, we'd have enough to like put gas in our car, get a pack of cigarettes, and then go and get some vodka friggin' Gatorade, and then just get into the club and have enough money to, you know, buy screwdrivers and like other alcohol while we're in there. And by the next morning, we were broke every time.
Nye, what do you drink?
I was just sitting here thinking to myself, way back in the day, I would be into more sugary drinks when I was in my 20s. You know, a margarita, pina colada. But as I've gotten older, what did you say moments ago? Drink like a man. I like that. I was sitting in the background thinking, that's exactly how I like to drink. You know, when I started watching some of these shows like Mad Men and some of these other kind of period piece shows, I found that because I don't drink much, but when I do drink now, especially as I've gotten older, I like a shot of whiskey or an old fashioned. Something dark, a dark rum, a dark liquor on the rocks, a double shot, and I'm good to go.
Oh yeah,
a shot of whiskey.
If somebody poured you a nice scotch, poured out of a crystal decanter, like there's really not much better than.
No, I agree. I don't do the sugary drinks anymore. Every once in a while, I'll be like, you know, I have a taste for a margarita, but I try to make it as low carb, less sugar as possible. You know, I try to make my natural, use some natural ingredients that won't spike the blood sugar, won't add the added calories. But a dark liquor is really preferred.
So Roger, we were talking about this last time. Do you think that with your control over, you know, the alcoholism or whatever you consider from the past, do you think you'd be okay with like going in like just once a month and doing what you were saying, going on like a tour thing or going to like a nice speakeasy and having a couple drinks?
I have to be much more careful than that. I went because I went a long time drinking, and then I went a long time not drinking. But I went to a Mariners game with an old friend, and I had a hot dog and an ice cold Coors Light. And I will tell you, it was an ice cold Coors Light, and we're watching a ball game. It was amazing, and I told myself, I was like, "Yep, I will probably do this again." But I didn't order a second beer. I didn't go out and drink after that.
Well, maybe do like moderation. Go to like a speakeasy and have like a nice Manhattan or something, and just have one. You think you could do that?
I guess it all depends on the situation. I'd have to be around responsible people. I still have friends that, like, when I get around them, they're just not very wise people, and they'll just be like, "Hey, dude, come on, let's just do one shot." And they're the type of people that, like, 30 minutes. 30 minutes in, they're like, "Hey, let's just do one bump of Coke. Come on," And like, there's certain people that I just, they're better as pen pals now in my life.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I got buddies that when I stop partying and shit, they just continued on, and they're still doing it into their 40s now.
I'll tell you this, my friend circle changed dramatically within the first few months of stop drinking.
Oh, yeah.
There were people that, like, I used to drink with on the regular. We would play, like, John Madden football, and we would just get fucking super hammered playing fucking video games. And when they realized that I didn't drink anymore, they weren't even interested in playing video games. Like, it was like, because there is something to be said about, like, drunk people don't like sober people and sober people don't like drunk people. You kind of want to be around people that are, like, on whatever level that you're participating on. And but it was funny because I tried maintaining some of these relationships, and there was just, like, I would say, "Hey, you want to come check out whatever?" Like, they would ask questions like, like, "Is there a bar there?" Or, "Are we going to do this?" Or, "What are we going to do after?" And, like, once there's some people, like, especially if they're drinking heavily, everything they do is planned around alcohol. Everything they do.
Oh, dude, I worked at Molly Brown's too, in Daytona Beach, Florida, one of the biggest strip clubs in, like, Central Florida. And every night, man, the girls would come over. "We're having a party afterwards. Want to come and hang out?" And, like, some of the girls would, like, rub their nostril, and I'd be like, "No, I'm good," because I just didn't want to be around that environment. But yeah, I kind of got a little shunned after working there long enough because I just kept refusing to go to the after party. And I don't know if they thought I was a snitch or a narc or something, but I knew there was going to be a lot of, like, crazy shit, so I was like, "Nah, I'm good."
I remember when Frank used to come onto the stage and drunk out of his mind, acting crazy.
George Michaels.
I love George Michael. He is the greatest.
Oh, dude, Roger, have you heard him talk about how if George Michaels was alive, Frank says that's the only man he would suck his dick?
Oh, dude, we've done marathon rooms where the entire subject was Frank and his fanhood for George Michael. I mean, that was vintage Clubhouse. Frank doesn't even talk about him anymore. He used to, when we would bring it up, he would do the whole fucking GIF with George Michael. But he doesn't participate like that anymore.
Dude, I have like a 1800 watt Bowers and Bang & Olufsen. Bauer Wilkinson's my house, but the Bang & Olufsen stereo in my car, Expedition, and I was, like, blasting George Michael's. Frank was, I guess he's a little tipsy, so he's, like, singing every word. He's like, "This is the greatest night in the world." I'm like, "You're welcome, Frank."
I saw George Michael perform at the Shark Tank in San Jose, California, and this was like 10 years after his arrest and all that kind of stuff, and he hadn't performed in the US like for 10 years, and I went there with some friends, and he started the concert, he played a song, and then he gets on the mic and he goes, "I know sometimes I don't make it easy for you to be a George Michael fan." He's all, "But maybe we could do some healing tonight." And then he just played for hours, just playing all the hits and shit. No opening act, just him, just doing his thing. And I think he was he was on, dude. Like, I mean, even some of the stuff that he was playing that I'm not really into. There's something about being around a crowd of people that are obsessed with it that just it creates a vibe. It was very, very fun. It was probably the most homosexuals that I've ever been in the same room with, but it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, it's funny because Frank's supposedly married with wife and kids and all that. And it's like, the things I would do to George Michaels. It's just, he's obsessed.
Well, guys, this has been a fun room. I'm going to go grab some food. I'll probably be on the app later, but this was fun. This room actually grew the house quite a bit. When we came in here, there was like, I think there was like 530 some odd people in the house, and now there's 689 members of the house. So whatever it was, people liked the house today. So
I try whenever I'm in here to go into my little up arrow thing and then just send everybody that has a green dot to come in. Try to get big rooms.
yeah, the one thing to spread the word to people on is that, like, I mean, I'm pretty good with people bringing up controversial topics, but we are being more intentional about, like, you know, keeping people from coming on the stage and like dropping the N-word and shit like that. Some of the rooms on Clubhouse, they like it better when they're doing that, and I don't know. There's got to be an alternative to it. I mean, there's no shortage of other rooms where people can do that. So I think Ro and I will get together and figure out, you know, like a more, I don't know, standardized version of the rules of the road in terms of, you know, people talking over each other, people with long shares that are boring, and just a bunch of basics that would make the conversation better. Is that Hakima? Hakima gave me the googly eyes. Why is he in the audience? Oh, I moved him down because he said something.
Exactly my point. Why get moved down without like Ron? I've been talking to you for 5 years. To move me down because I said something that you didn't agree with without even.
No, I think I moved you down. Were you the one that said the N-word earlier?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
No, you know, it was proving a point. It was not.
Okay, it came up. I listen. I'm holding it. The only way I can hold the line on a rule of people not saying that is to move anybody the moment I hear them say it.
And Roger, under that rule, and if I violate it, move me. But what I seen was not that though. It was more targeted towards me and my voice. It was silencing me because you didn't like what I was saying.
Did you say the N-word that came out? There's a lot of things you say that I don't like, and I get.
Yeah, but I did though. But like, Roger, what I'm saying is that I did say it, and you moved me when I said it. But just be consistent in the future though. Like when anybody else said, hold me to that standard. I'm fine with that. But just be consistent in the month with that same thing. I would not criticize you and say you did nothing wrong.
Yeah, and I will ask you to hold me accountable. If you find me in a room where somebody slides that by and they don't get moved, please bring that to my attention. Because I have to tell you, I don't think that's the only word, by the way, that we should, you know, like kind of eliminate from these rooms.
You know what's funny, Roger, though? Honestly, you're a super smart dude. But you're manipulative also. Like, yesterday you made the room, you chatted in the chat, like, should we make a room? We like, yeah, whatever, and all that. You made the room. But then when you had something to do, which is in real life, I get that you got something to do. But what you did was like, gather people to Matt Cool's room. And today you spoke on the same, not him in particular, but you said like, room that honor the N-word, which is Matt Cool's room that you sent everyone to.
Yep.
So like don't say.
So
let me say just one last point. This is what I meant like a while ago. Had the debate before the great Roger lost the count that was bogus that you lost the count for, but you were saying the same thing. But you would, hold on,
Okay, I'll respond to that. Hopefully you're listening.
I'm listening.
I actually sent Sarah a message about that room when I heard from multiple sources that Pepe was just in there dropping N-bomb after N-bomb. And I'm not going to read what I wrote to Sarah, but when Sarah came to the room last night, I called her out on it on the stage, in fact. And Matt was here last night as well, and I told them exactly how I feel about that, and I even told them I'm more ashamed of the people that laugh at it and allow it to go on than I am with the person doing it. The person that's doing it is obviously doing it because they crave attention and they don't have a means to participate in a conversation without trying to be shocking. And so I kind of know what they're doing, but if people are moderating a room, I think the moderator is responsible for it. And if the moderators themselves are using laugh emojis and then making excuses for it, I think that's more shameful than the person saying.
Right, that's the point I tagged myself up on, right? Like you directed everyone to go to Matt Cool's room to finish the conversation, which they wasn't on that conversation, which is fine, though. But like you were condoning that moment, Matt Cool and others that allowed that word.
Well, hold on.
Let me clear that real quick. You spoke for it yesterday, but today you cleared it up. Like I don't accept that shit. It's not okay. Y'all shouldn't do it. But yesterday, which is a day, it is reality that you really condone. Like Matt Cool is who Matt Cool is, and you knew that prior to yesterday.
No.
You condoned his bullshit. You literally did.
No, hold on. I never condone that. In fact, the only reason I told people to go over to that room is Matt actually ran over the last week and a half some really good rooms where people were having legitimate conversations, and people like Pepe were getting not removed from the room, but moved down off the stage. And so Matt was the only person in the room that also starts rooms. And so when I had to go, I just said, hey, look, Matt's got a room. He's starting. You guys carry the conversation over there. I did not say, hey, go over there where Matt's going to allow the N-bomb to be repeatedly said.
No, you didn't say that. I won't put that on you, Roger. You never said that. But historically, Matt Rooms is known for that, though.
Yeah.
So for you to endorse, over the years, 4 or 5 years, its rooms is known for accepting that. So for you to endorse people in your room to go to that room is endorsing that ignorance. And from where I see it.
Well, since I've been back on the app, I will tell you, just 2-3 nights ago, I thought Matt and Joe Hero ran one of the better rooms that this app has had in a really, really long time. And so, I think the fact that it just happened yesterday, you'll have to trust and believe. I'll tell you this: you're not going to see Sarah or Matt modded in these rooms. I'll let them up on the stage. They'll have to abide by the rules that everybody else has to abide by. But I'm not going to be moderating them, especially after calling Sarah out, and she wanted to then center herself and make it into you guys talk about all kinds of inappropriate stuff. It's like, yeah, we're adults and we can talk about inappropriate things. We can talk about sex and penises and all those kind of things. I think that that's fundamentally different than somebody using words that are only designed. There's 2 reasons why somebody would use that word. It's number 1, it would be to offend people, and number 2, it would be to gain favor and shock people that are comfortable hearing it. I don't want to play into either of those things, and so you're not going to see them moderating this.
Hey, Roger, let me say this though. I don't know, a lot of people don't know, but I've been following you since we were the first people on the app since 2020. I've been in your room. And one thing I know about you is that I don't believe you're a racist. I do not believe you're a racist. But I believe that your core self conflicts sometimes with content. So sometimes you accept certain things. But you as a human being, The reason I come back to your rooms and I talk to you, and I would love to talk to you in person and meet you, and we would be cordial and great. Because I don't believe you're racist, though, but I think that you confuse, not confuse, but you allow content over your core principle. But I done seen you many times pointing out bullshit, and that's why that's why I like you as a human being, because I seen you do it. At the same time, I saw you allow bullshit. I knew that wasn't you because you didn't co-sign with it. You were just silent and let it go on. So I really appreciate you as a human being, Roger. I really do.
So I think that's a fair critique, by the way. And I will say that I actually agree with you. I think that there's a lot of things that I allowed to happen in rooms, and one of the things, it's returning to the app that I feel like I've freed myself from, and is the idea of optimizing for a large space. I know how to do that. There's titles that I can put that would optimize for controversy, and there's things that I could do that would create that. Since I've returned, I don't feel like a pressure of like, oh, there needs to be 1,000 people in the room. I would prefer to have people in the room that can stay on topic, not interrupt each other, and add to it. And by the way, I still have a high level of tolerance for stupid shit. That's probably never going to change. But I do think that you're spot. I think that your critique is spot.
I'm spot on. Say it's okay.
Your critique
spot on sometimes.
Your critique is spot on. That previously, when I was on this app, I was optimizing for growing the size of the room, and I was acutely aware of what could help do that. And so, yeah, I'm guilty as charged. That being said, moving
there's
forward,
nothing wrong with that, though, Roger. Like there's nothing wrong with that, because we on Clubhouse, and you're not trying to be some social justice warrior. You're content, literally as a house creator, you're a content creator, and I'm okay with that. But and I've seen that in you, which made me be okay with some of the things you do. You know what I'm saying? Not like I'm some police and you gotta live in my standard. I'm talking about the way I see it. Like, I'm not criticizing you, but I love the fact that you pointed out and you acknowledge the exact things that I've seen, though. And for the reason, whatever reason you did, it's cool. It's okay, because this is social fucking media. You know what I'm saying? So hey Roger, long story short, I appreciate you, and I will always support your room.
Right on. And again, I don't want to get too huggy, but I appreciate
it. It's okay. There's no homo. There's no diddy. We can hug. It's okay.
I think that it's a fair observation. It's a fair critique, but I see no there's no lie in what you said. I think that and I'm happy that you recognize that my intentions are not to, it's not like I have some, nefarious ideology where I want to harm people of, based on race or gender or anything like that. I do think that moving forward, it requires the intentionality of doing that, and that means making sure that whoever's modded is kind of on board with the same thing. And so I think instead of me going to bed and leaving it in the hands of okay, hey, you guys take it from here, and just feeling like absolved from it, I'll probably be more likely to just shut a room down if I'm leaving.
Right, if you're not comfortable with the people you're leaving it to, I definitely give it.
Yeah, correct.
It's been a lot of times that people got modded for whatever reason, and not just you, but certain people left the room to whoever it was, and that's not necessarily a good idea. But like you said, hands down, you're smarter than me. Period. I would own that shit and acknowledge it. But by you pointing out what you're saying, you're acknowledging what I have seen from you. That's why I appreciate you as a content host. I appreciate you as a person that holds rooms. I appreciate you as a human being. And I appreciate you as a friend. And hopefully one day we'll meet in person, and you will be totally safe and comfortable around me. But I really,
Really?
appreciate it. That's why I continue to come back to Healthy Debates or in them up or any room that you do, because I see where you're coming from. I just hope that everybody else do and know that you're not some fucking racist bigot or none of that, because you're nowhere near that. You're not nowhere near that. If you did, I would call you that and you'll kick me out your room. I wouldn't be allowed if I thought.
I just want you to know he said the same exact thing to me 2 days ago verbatim. Just
JB is a racist piece of shit. I don't like him. I wish I could meet him. I'm bullshit. I hate JB. I know you. I'm just being controversial. JB is a good dude. Go ahead, Knight. Go ahead.
I was thinking the same thing when I went into Matt Cruz's room the other day. I had only been in one other room. He has a big room that he hosted the other day. It was a good conversation. But when I popped in there, Pepe was on the stage calling the black girl, the girl that
the nigger bitch. The nigger bitch.
Yeah, well, don't say it, Hakima.
No. We gonna say what it is.
Wait.
Hold on. Let me just be clear. Repeating what somebody said, I know why you did that. Let's not do that, because in order to have zero tolerance around it, we really have to have zero tolerance around it.
But we need to know what it is, though. We can't have zero tolerance around nothing we don't know. It's like it's helpful, in my opinion. I could be wrong. It's helpful for people to know what Pepe says and what he said out of his mouth. Like, accept it or don't, but let's be clear of what he says. Like I can stay corrected, but that's my approach. But may not be the right approach.
Well, what I was trying to say, sorry, I shoved something in my mouth, so let me be quiet while I swallow.
Wow, that was the sexiest thing I've ever heard of.
And do not